empty suspension. The company says that the suspension came. The NCA
of MTN fits the definition of MS markets. Now, however, in January 20, call MTN for the player predatory NCA engaged MTN in violation of the required prior approval. Product was rolled out. Called after a series and the product was
still the CEO
fund for a $3 billion bailout to help it restore macroeconomic stability. The IMF assistance, which is yet to be finalized, is conditional on Ghana restructuring its debt, both domestic and external. This also means government must put in place measures to bring public debt down to more manageable levels from the currently estimated 105% of GDP to 55% in present value terms by 2028. Already, government embarked on domestic debt exchange program, which closed on Friday, 10th February 2023, with over 80% participation of eligible bonds. Speaking at a discussion organized by the Institute of Economic Affairs on the theme, Making Globalization Work for Africa, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, who twice served as Nigeria's finance minister, expressed her admiration for the efforts of Ghana's finance team and commended them for their hard work in ensuring the success of the debt restructuring program.
Well, let me begin by saying that I think that the finance team in Ghana is working hard and is doing the right things now. I have to say that. They know that they have to embark on some reforms in order to be able to make this debt restructuring or debt forgiveness work. We had to do exactly the same thing. When I came as finance minister, no reforms were being done. So President Obasanjo at the time really wanted this debt relief, and I have to give him credit. He had a vision for the country of getting rid of this debt, but just didn't know how to set about it. Every president was promising him from the Paris Club, we'll forgive, we'll forgive. But when they get to the finance ministers, they will say, forgive what? Nigeria is an oil-producing country, we are not forgiving. So it was always a roadblock. Then he brought me, and I explained to him that it's getting stuck at the level of finance ministers. They will not agree in these G7 countries unless we do certain things.
She further gave some recommendations on how the government can effectively go about its economic recovery.
I think what they are doing now, one, getting some of the bilateral creditors, not just Paris Club but China, on board in the common framework that has been put together by the G20, bringing them, then asking the private creditors to submit to the same terms. That is what is needed, and it's not easy. It's going to take quite a bit of work, but the hope I have for you from our lesson is that no matter how hard, if you persist, you do the reforms, you show them how it's affecting your fiscal situation, and they see you visibly trying to solve the problem of the macroeconomic management of the economy. And then you insist that everybody, private sector, bilaterals, all the creditors, except the international organizations, they provide fresh money. They will not be able to do the debt forgiveness, but they will provide fresh money like the IMF is doing. You get them around the table to agree.
The World Trade Organization Director General further advised the government to put measures in place to ensure that the debt restructuring program does not lead to a debt overhang in the future.
Still on the World Trade Organization, but because she has encouraged Ghana to rectify the WTO agreement on fisheries subsidies as soon as possible. This agreement is a big deal because it includes measures to address illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing in Africa, which has been a major contributor to the depletion of fish stocks around the world. During her first ever tour of Africa, Madame Okonjo-Iweala met with Katie Hammond, who is Ghana's Minister of Trade and Industry, and proposed that the country prioritizes the ratification of the agreement. It's clear that the Director General is passionate about protecting our oceans and marine life.
The proposal by the Director General of the World Trade Organization, Her Excellency Dr. Ngozi Iweala, was done on the occasion of her working visit to Ghana as part of her maiden African tour. The WTO agreement on fishery subsidies, which include an agreement to curb illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing on the continent, marks a major step to end widespread depletion of the world's fishing stocks. It represents a historic achievement for the membership of the WTO as the first Sustainable Development Goal targets to be met fully. The first SDG target met through a multilateral agreement, the first WTO agreement to focus on the environment, the first broad binding multilateral agreement on ocean sustainability, and only the second agreement reached at the WTO since its inception on January 1, 1995. Dr. Ngozi is thus urging Ghana to speedily rectify the WTO agreement on fishery subsidies.
This agreement is to do away with $22 billion in harmful fishery subsidies that allow countries to fish illegally in the oceans, to overfish the ocean's fish stocks, on which many people depend. 12 million people in Africa depend on fisheries. So this agreement will now make it possible if someone is doing illegal, IUU, illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. If they are doing IUU fishing, they can be brought to the WTO and reported for doing that. So this agreement is very important. You have many artisanal fishermen and women in Ghana. Ghana has a important population along its coast that lives on fisheries, but very often there is illegal fishing in your waters. So ratifying this agreement is going to help be able to control that kind of illegal fishing and overexploitation of your waters. One of the things I've come to ask Your Excellency is to please, Ghana should ratify this agreement as quickly as possible.
On his part, Minister for Trade and Industry Katie Hammond called for the restoration of a fully functional two-tier dispute settlement mechanism and better systems to enable developing countries benefit from a multilateral trading system. The minister also notes that this will give the system the needed predictability and certainty under the African Continental Free Trade Area.
You have no proper adjudication system because somehow the appellate system is collapsed. You only have the first tier tribunal. We cannot have a system of this magnitude when we don't have a forum where arbitration of disputes, which inevitably would arise to be resolved. I'm told that you tried very much to get this matter resurrected. So our hope is that by the time of the 13th Ministerial Conference meeting, if we have been able to do the condition precedent, we will be able to come over and make sure that these matters are properly articulated. But I'm told that because the appellate one is collapsed, the first one is completely dysfunctional and nothing at all is taking place.
You know how challenging Forex is on the continent, especially because of its economic impact. But some industry players have been suggesting solutions to this. Africans are being encouraged to patronize tourist destinations in the region, while businesses are also being admonished to source most of their goods from other African countries to reduce demand for foreign currencies.
The CEO of the Namibian Tourism Board, Digo Ngobeb, is calling on Africans to actively patronize tourism destinations within the continent. He believes this will not only boost African economies, but also decrease the demand for foreign currency. In an interview with Citi Business News, Mr. Ngobeb emphasized that Africans should not overlook the fact that the continent remains a popular choice for travelers from other regions of the world.
We need to really trade amongst ourselves because tourism is also an export industry, and for that, but you need to travel to a destination in order to consume the product, and in that way you are injecting money into the economy, and that way you are growing economy and creating jobs. More often or not, we see each other in Africa as people who are job seekers either, or you are economic refugee, but definitely us in Africa do have the means because most of us are traveling for our holidays and vacations to Europe or either to Dubai or either to United States of America. However, in fact, we have the hidden gems. Why are the Europeans, in fact, traveling to our own countries, yet we are traveling to Europe as if we do not know what we are having? So, in fact, what we are trying to do with our visit to Ghana is to create that momentum that definitely what you can do, or what Europe is offering or Dubai is offering, can be found right on the continent, in particular in Namibia.
Meanwhile, businesses are being encouraged to source the needed products within the continent to address the forex challenge in the country. Demand for forex is a major concern in the country, a situation that is further highlighted in a recent 2023 International Monetary Fund Regional Economic Outlook report, which revealed that Ghana's net international reserves are expected to end in 2023 at approximately 3 weeks of import cover. The CEO of Abanga Farms, Thomas Abanga, stated that the situation can be averted by ensuring a reduction in the demand for forex by importing most of our products from African countries and transacting in our local currency.
In the next 10 years, there are two critical things that the world will need from Africa. Number one, food, because we have 65% of the world arable land. Number two, the population below 30% is in Africa. So that's human capital. So I think the only thing is having the architecture for trade movement among our people and then removing the barriers. For instance, it is easy for a Nigerian or Namibian to come to Ghana and do shopping without being encountering with the US dollars and all that kind of stuff. But for you to ship things or get things from Europe and other countries, it's very cumbersome. And as you will agree with me, the Ukrainian war is now a testament to that. That is now giving us the opportunity to converge so that we can trade among ourselves. So I think trading among ourselves, it is the best way to go.
Great news for the tourism industry in Ghana. The Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture has set its sight on training over 1,000 commercial drivers to serve as tour guides and help enhance the sector. The ministry recognizes that commercial drivers are often the first people tourists meet upon arrival in the country, and they play a crucial role in shaping visitors' experiences. By providing them with the necessary skills and knowledge, these drivers can better interact with tourists and recommend exciting places to visit, ultimately boosting Ghana's tourism industry.
The ministry indicates that the initiative is part of efforts by government to make tourism the #1 contributor to Ghana's GDP. Under the initiative, drivers, who are usually the first contact for tourists visiting the country, will be required to help them identify the best tourist sites in the country. Deputy Minister of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, Mark Okrekumante, gave further highlights of the initiative.
We are going to basically take them through customer service, and then they should know our tourist sites. It should be part of the agenda of selling tourism. And if you say tourism, today I went for an interview and noticed that most people think tourism is the buildings, it is the edifice, it is tourist sites. Yes, the tourist sites are some of the assets you can use to sell tourism. But the first point of tourism is the people. Because when you go to a country and they have almost all the beautiful sites, and they do not have people who relate to you beautifully, who understand the people's game, the interpersonal relations, how people's skill. If you don't have that, they go and they'll never come back. Irrespective of all you have, they'll never come back. So we must build our people first, the mindset of our people, the skill to relate to people as customers. How we used to do it, Ghana for the Pahoho. That was a way of selling tourism, but we never took advantage of it. Now it is going down with how I treat Ahoho. We must bring it back because it's a way of making money for the country.
Mr. Okrekumante and some officials of the ministry interacted with the leadership of some driver unions in Kumasi who have welcomed the idea. The deputy minister at a ceremony to cut the sword for the construction of an amphitheater in Kumasi assured government is fulfilling promises it made to players in the creative arts industry.
This amphitheater is going to carry a maximum of 1,000 people. We can choose to do some side and side spillover depending on the type of events. There's one here already. There's an amphitheater here, but it does not have a cover at where you sit or where your audience will sit. This very one has top cover, and the stage also has some parts covered. So it is a modern amphitheater.
The contractor in charge of the project gave a breakdown of the amphitheater, which is expected to be ready by July 2023.
Well, if you look at the architectural designs and all of that, you notice that we have meeting rooms behind, audiovisuals, we have boardroom, and then we have other offices behind where the creative art people can keep their instruments and machines and all of that. So I think that with all of those components in place, electricals and all of that, so everything is intact.
The government promised to build 5 amphitheaters across the country, and the beneficiary areas will include Accra, Kumasi, Takoradi, and Tamale.
The Chamber of Construction Industry is concerned about the Ghanaian government's failure to pay for executed contracts. In fact, they have warned that legal action may be taken by members if payment isn't made soon. Despite the Chamber's efforts, its members have been left with no other option. It's a pretty dire situation, with some of the old monies dating back as far as 2017. The Chamber estimates that the government's outstanding debt to the contractors is now reaching a critical level of over 15 billion Ghana cedis.
The Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry has warned that the government will soon face legal action from numerous members due to non-payment for completed contracts. Despite their efforts to retrieve payment, the Chamber's members have been left with no other recourse. Some of the old monies date back as far as 2017, and the government's outstanding debt to contractors, according to the Chamber, has now reached a critical level of over 15 billion Ghana cedis. Emmanuel Cherry, the CEO of the Chamber, indicated that many contractors have abandoned sight over the challenge.
Most of our contractors on the various roads, as I said some time ago, the expatriates, most of them has packed out. The few locals who out of passion for the industry, for the country, they are still working. But almost 97% of contractors are packed out from roads, from the various sites, all because of what? In government's indebtedness to the construction industry. Over 15 billion Ghana cedis is in debt now. That government is sitting aloof as if nothing is at stake. Meanwhile, you said you are trying to what? Domestify the economy. Ghana beyond aid. How can you be Ghana beyond aid with this particular starvation that you double slap giving to the contractors? It's very, very daring.
He further indicated that some of the members of the chamber have decided to resort to the courts over these concerns.
As we speak, some of them, through their lawyers, have petitioned the Speaker of Parliament. They petition us as well, and they've given us 21 days. 21 days almost elapsing. If that happens, nothing happened, they'll go to court. If they go to court, they take judgment. Your guess is as good as mine. Only 3 contractors has been able to garnish the account of road fund. One was able to garnish the account of Cocoa Board. That tells you as 50 that coming on block to go for legal battle. If they win and they come, what happens? They should prepare. There's a long haul awaiting them. In as much as they are starving us, we are also taking our lessons. We are getting wise and wiser. So therefore, they shouldn't think we are fools. Since we are quiet, they largely heard of us from the of late. It's because we are strategizing. They should wait for us. We are coming.
Is the neighborhood I'm having my twins.
The very reason why I took it for us. See, the price is very good and it's spacious to contain all of us.
Alphabet City. Now I'm a landlord. I don't pay rent. And my Airbnb business is booming.
To me, Pamini, bank and I'm not say Alphabet City. The pension pay me 20%. The payment plan, I want to share my man. Just say, very smooth.
This is a healthy place to raise our families and creating peace. Come on, be my neighbor.
Alphabet City, the ABC of Home Sweet Home.
Alphabet City is a classy and peaceful gated community in Sakumono. We have 24/7 top-notch security and high-quality access roads. We have 3 bedrooms and 2 washrooms, 3 bedrooms and 3 washrooms with boys' quarters. We have 3 bedrooms and 4 washrooms. We have 2 bedrooms and 2 washrooms, all with beautiful kitchens and kitchenettes. Call Alphabet City on 0240-111119 or 050-44-99999. Alphabet City, the ABC of Home Sweet Home.
Mothers go above and beyond to give us 5 times the love. Tell us how much your mom means to you and let's HD Plus make it feel like 5 times the star this Mother's Day. From 13th April to 1st May 2023, record and send a 30-second video about how amazing your mom is. Feel it to the WhatsApp number 020-0044-420. The video will compete with other entries to win one of the 65-inch NASCO flat screen TVs with an HD Plus model for mom. HD Plus, feel it.
The National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, in partnership with the Wejagbawe Municipal Assembly, recently organized a training session on the basic rudiments of starting a business. Over 40,000 individuals participated in the training and were encouraged to apply to the government's various business support programs for assistance. It's great to see initiatives like this that aim to empower and support aspiring entrepreneurs.
Over 400 youth within the Wejagbawe enclave have been given training on how to start a business. Participants were taken through rudiments of starting a business, how to source for financial support, and challenges new businesses face. Various speakers shared their experience with participants and how they can become successful in their chosen field. According to the Chief Executive Officer for the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, Kofi Ofosu-Nkansah, government has set up several intervention programs like government's 10 billion Citi flagship program, U-Start, which has various models. He urged participants to take advantage of these support programs.
A lot of successful business people came here to give testimonies on how these qualities they expect startups and SMEs to have help them to expand and grow their business. So we know if these young people also take up the same route, it will help them to succeed in various ventures that they are running. These are not just imaginary programs. They are real programs which are being run. As I'm talking to you now, the government's flagship Youth Start program, the first phase of it is being rolled out. Pilot training is starting this week, and we will use about a month to do the nationwide training, after which the grants will follow. The main phase will also continue later. Youth and Innovative Agric is going to come on board. Ghana Jobs and Skills program is ongoing. Other programs are going to follow. So any program they hear of, they should just follow the portal or the website address which will be given, then take part of the program. They can also go to our various offices across the country and take forms and fill manually and take advantage of the various programs. There are rare opportunities. So it depends on the assessment we do, the needs assessment we do. Typically, they can assess less than 10,000 cities to a maximum of about 100,000 cities in our programs. And they can come in the form of loans or grants, depending on the type of program it is.
Municipal Chief Executive for Weija-Gbawe, Patrick Kumo, says the training will in the end reduce unemployment in the enclave, since majority of the youth will be well equipped to start their own business. He noted that the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation had earlier on embarked on a similar exercise where over 20 beneficiaries will receive funds and other items needed to start a business.
Those who want to start up their own businesses, or those who are already operating, will get some equipment and some funds to be able to expand. Our party believes that the private sector is the engine of growth, and therefore when you empower such people, they will also expand and also employ more people, so that we can reduce the unemployment situation in the country. So we thank the Member of Parliament greatly for spearheading this program, and I believe the promises that have been made to them will be fulfilled in the coming days. So far, the numbers that we are counting, we are over 400 people who attended this program, and I believe they will be supported in duly. Let me also thank GMPC. Somewhere last year, a couple of youth were also trained. Right now, we have about 20 of them who are going to receive items to expand their business. That one is aside what we are doing now. And this is all being spearheaded by the Member of Parliament. I believe that when you vote for a leader, he or she is supposed to help you with jobs and then also empower you in your businesses so that you can also grow. At the end of the day, you come back to also support the party and the people around you.
Participants at the event also shared their takeaways and how it is going to help them going forward.
But we're taking through how to manage resources, how to identify your environment, what you can actually get from the environment, and how to keep books. That whatever whatever you get, you have to spend it. But how to manage the little, and how to even start your own business. Yeah. Anyway, I want to say on record, I'm a teacher. I've taught for 39, 40 years. But this small distance that have come, it's going to help me a lot. I'm retiring in November. But this small distance I've come to, learn, is going to help me, my children and my family.
If you learn how to write proposal, how to, importance of networking, and again, identifying your opportunities, what you can do to help yourself. Yeah.
So you believe going forward that this thing will help you?
Oh yeah, sure, because some things maybe you were thinking about it, you were thinking it was so huge and big, even to write a proposal. But we just get to know that it's something simple that anyone can do. So what we learn today can help me to write a proposal that I want to any company or for any contract for myself.
The Forestry Research Institute of Ghana, a part of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, is urging farmers in the northern region of Ghana to switch to mixed farming techniques to ensure sustainable food production. The researchers are concerned that if farmers don't start using land more efficiently and continue clearing more land for food production, it could have a negative impact on the environment as the population grows.
The world's population is estimated to grow to about 97 billion by 2050. This will then result in increased global demand for food. In a bid to meet the food and nutrition demands of the rising population, researchers at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research are calling for sustainable intensification and production of more food on the same piece of land. Professor Daniel Fori is the director of the Forestry Research Institute of Ghana under the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research.
Some people will tend to grow or adapt monocropping. That is, if you adapt monocropping, you have a lot of problems, pests, diseases, and other environmental issues. So what we are advising is we go into mixed farming system where you have a lot of different food crops on the same land. You can have your animals on the same land, and then you feed your animal with some of the residues of your food crops, and you use the droppings of animals to manage the land.
Forestry experts were brought together in Kumasi to equip them on the use of modeling tools to help identify native species on the landscape, particularly in the northern part of Ghana.
The training we're going to have, we're also going to be exposed to a software or a tool that will tell people where the species they need are found on the landscape. Because the native species, where are they? If we stand here and you ask me, where can I find this species? At the press of the button, I can tell you that species A is found in a certain zone. Then quickly you go there. If you want the seed source, it will tell you where you can get the seeds of that species to grow. So we also helping farmers and tree growers to identify the seed sources of different native species that they want to grow, and then they are able to revegetate the land, and then also do agroforestry system to mix trees, other species on the same land for high productivity. And then after this training, we will also have training within the landscapes, train farmers on how to propagate some of these priority tree species for them to introduce them in their landscape so that they can have agroforestry system with their animals and so on the same piece of land that will produce more food other than cropping one species that you have problem with the environment, cropping one species that have problem with pests and diseases and so on.
On his part, the Director General of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Professor Paul Bosu, stressed the need to ensure better land management approaches, especially in the northern part of Ghana.
Ensuring better land management approaches that take into account the needs of local people will no doubt lead to an improvement in productivity, reduction in biodiversity loss, mitigation of climate change effects, which will ultimately contribute to the socio-economic development in the region. The Sustainable Intensification for Mixed Farming Systems project, which is aimed at achieving important objective, hopes also to aligns perfectly well with the SDGs of the United Nations. It is the expectation of the investigators that the interventions outlined in this project will have a positive impact that will extend way beyond the area of immediate focus of the project.
As the issue of land degradation is a major concern, the Alliance for Biodiversity and SIAT is collaborating with stakeholders to help address the issue in Ghana.
There are some global issues affecting Ghana, and not only Ghana, globally, and land degradation in particular, loss of soil fertilization. And our initiative is really focused on reversing this cycle of degradation, and our entry point is an attempt to restore degraded lands by using locally available diversity of trees and other species, and bring back complexity and diversity in landscapes that have been progressively degraded and simplified in terms of species composition and productivity. So the project we are launching is really focused on building silvopastoral systems, trying to support this concept of sustainable intensification of agriculture, which means not converting more land to agriculture, but using better the land which is already under use. And we wish to integrate trees, forages, and other elements of the cropping system to perform all the functions that are needed for local communities for their livelihoods.
The Ghana Soybean Farmers and Aggregators Association in the Northern region are in a fix as they have been hit hard by the current ban on soybean exportation. They are urging the government to lift the ban as they are struggling to sell their stock due to low demand locally. This has resulted in a financial burden for many of them who have to take loans to finance their farming activities. They are now threatening to reduce soybean production during the 2023-2024 farming season if the ban is not lifted soon.
Government, as part of measures to protect poultry farmers, put a ban on the exportation of soybeans after farmers decried the non-availability of feed for their birds. Since the restriction, smallholder farmers who are much affected say local demand for soybeans has drastically declined, causing the price to drop from 650 cedis to 400 cedis a bag at the farm gates. The situation, they lament, is impacting negatively on soybean cultivation owing to lack of funds to invest in land preparation and other farm inputs. According to the farmers, even though they are unable to give a total figure on the stockpiled in the region, however, Alansan Abdul Anjus, a farmer, says he alone has about 40 tons of soybean stock without markets.
We have started farming. I have nuclear farmers under me, and over 60-70% are women who have cultivated soybean, and as of now they can't sell it, yet they are supposed to farm. So how will they be able to manage? It's a setback. You have the produce before you. You have nobody buying it. Or even they are going to buy it, it's going to be at a very low cost, and which will not be able to even meet the production or the amount of money you use to get the soybean. So if you sell it, how will you be able to farm this year? So in effect, this ban has crippled a lot, not only some of us sitting here, but even people who are struggling to survive in their little way.
Speaking at a press conference on Monday in Tamale, the Ghana Soyabeans Farmers and Aggregators Association recommended that government lift the restrictions to allow for the exportation of the commodity to avert the collapse of the soya business.
The 7-member committee set up by the government to license exporters of soybeans should be dissolved with immediate effect. Government should without delay repeal the export and import restriction of soybean regulation 2020 LI 2432 and lift the ban on soybean exportation to allow Ghanaian farmers to make money for their labor. If government truly wants to help local soybeans processing companies, government should provide them with funds to be able to buy and make cash payment for soybeans. If government wants cheaper soybeans for local processing companies, government should resource the buffer stock company to be able to buy enough soybeans in the peak season and resell to the local processing companies at cheaper prices. Government should identify farmers on government support and direct them to sell soybeans to the local processing companies. Government should allow individuals with capacity to export soybeans to do so without frustrating them, to enable the industry attract the needed investment. As at now, investors are moving away from investing in soybeans production because of the ban on the exportation of soybeans. By these recommendations, we call on the government to, with immediate effect, allow Ghanaian farmers and aggregators to trade in soybeans without restrictions.
They further threaten the reduction of soya production should the ban continue.
If government fails to heed to our call by 15th May 2023, we will not fight the government, but we will cut down the production of soybeans in the 2023-2024 farming season. This is not a threat, it is just information to the public.
Have you heard about the recent advice given to communities affected by mining and oil and gas extraction? It turns out they have been encouraged to team up with civil society to bring their concerns to the notice of shareholders of the companies involved. According to a technical director at WACAM, Targeting shareholders is a sure way to get concerns addressed, especially in cases where the negative impact of extractives is becoming alarming in mining communities in Western, Central, and the Ashanti regions.
According to the Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative's 2020 Reconciliation Report, a total number of persons employed by large-scale mines was 34,363. Despite the numerous positives that the extractive industry brings to the Ghanaian state, especially in revenue, the recorded negative impact cannot be overlooked. The predominant negative impact, beside the known environmental destruction, is the socio-economic impact on mining communities, as well as abuse of rights of locals, as some mining companies hide behind their licenses secured from central government and its regulators to act with impunity. To address some of these human rights abuses by mining and petroleum companies, civil society watchers of such industries are calling for the use of campaigns targeted at getting the attention of shareholders or financiers of such extractive companies.
Community people have begun to use courtroom litigation as mediums through which they will enforce, they will seek to it that these rights are enforced in law. And beyond that, where they feel that, well, their rights are being violated, but the laws are not protective enough of them, they also have the right in law to demonstrate and to demand that our regulations are made better to ensure their safeguard. Beyond that, also, community people nowadays have also started to do what we call shareholder campaigns, whereby they are targeting the shareholders and financiers of these mining companies to withdraw the support that they are giving to them, because their funding activities are leading to pollution of environment, human rights violations, which are against some of the core principles of sustainability through which they get these mining companies get these finance from financial institutions and other shareholders. So yes, these are all measures through which communities are now adopting, where our laws are not protective enough for them.
In addition to this measure, Friends of the Nation and WACAM are taking steps to promote dialogue between extractive companies and communities within their catchment areas. At one of such meetings in Takoradi, attended by officials of mining and petroleum companies, communities in their operational area, and the media from Western, Central, and Ashanti regions, a programs officer of Friends of the Nation, Solomon Kusiampofu, told Citi News, the dialogue is key to achieving peaceful and mutual beneficial neighborliness between extractive companies and communities in their catchment area.
Globally, the UN guiding principles, the free prior informed consent, and the UN Women Economic Principles enjoins companies to respect the rights of communities in respect of social, economic, political, and also environmental rights, as they also do their business. And it is important that we create a platform for communities and also companies and society to dialogue, to look at what are the current right abuses within the extractive industry and how can we collectively address them. Then also listen to the company side to also know what exactly they are also doing from their side to respect the rights of communities and also to be able to ensure that the environment is lived in a sustainable manner.
Solomon Kusiampofu of Friends of the Nation further reminded government and extractive companies of their obligation to respect the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights. On how communities can benefit from any resource exploited from their areas, the WACAM Technical Director urged the government to reconsider community development agreements with such companies.
The Cybersecurity Authority has revealed that internet usage in Ghana saw an impressive surge of 53% in 2022. With such a significant increase, it's important for the authority to guide and monitor the activities of young people while enhancing the digital skills of students in senior high schools across the country. At the launch of the National Cybersecurity Challenge in Accra, Ifua Brown-Eisen, the Acting Director of Child Online Protection at the authority, emphasized the need to combat cybercrime amongst children and assured Ghanaians of their commitment to achieving this goal.
With a growing population across the globe, it has become imperative for individuals and enterprises to give attention to their protection in the usage of internet-connected systems such as hardware, software, and data in order to safeguard one from cyber threats. However, with the increasing campaigns and drive for digitalization, it appears that young people may be prone to the vulnerabilities of the internet. Speaking at the launch of the National Cybersecurity Challenge in Accra, the acting Director of Child Online Protection at the Cybersecurity Authority, Ifwa Brown Aison, said her outfit is committed to ensuring that cybercrime amongst children is abated.
Internet penetration in Ghana has increased exponentially from 2.3 million in 2012 to 17 million users in 2022, which is 53% of the population. As of January 2022, Ghana was ranked third globally in the use of social media, an indication of the reliance of the population on the internet for various spheres of life, including education, lifestyle, business, and entertainment. Among the active users of internet are children, which left behind are often exposed to cyber attacks. In recent years, there have been several major cyber incidents that have significantly impacted schools and children worldwide. As dependency on digital technology surges, so does cybercrime. Cyber criminals are seizing every opportunity to exploit vulnerabilities against children, and children have been found to be the offenders in some situations. Equipping children with cybersecurity skills at this age is required to keep them safe online and prevent them from causing harm to their peers.
And that'll be all for today's episode of the Business Weekly Show here on Citi TV, your most watched business show in the country. If you want more business stories, please visit our website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Michael Obodri. Let's connect on Twitter at @MObodri. Thank you again for watching. As always, please stay safe, stay informed. Adios.